Hey, my little munchkins, it's Jeffrey, and I'm just getting back into the swing of things with my friends having gone to Toronto and soon back to Australia. And I thought I'd take a drive out to the Mactaquac area. When my friends first came, we met with a mutual friend out in Edmonton and got to see the mountainous areas and so on. That's in Alberta, Canada. And coming back to New Brunswick on the eastern coast, I realized how fortunate I am to live here. That although it was nice to see the mountains, they have nothing on the Maritimes. With our forests that we have and our lakes and rivers, and plus being on the ocean and things like that. So this is just a drive down the highway. Thought I would check out and show you guys our hydroelectric dam. It's quite large, takes about 20% of New Brunswick's power comes from there. So we'll go on a little mini adventure and just perhaps maybe film a little bit going through. Don't mind the bumpiness. New Brunswick roads are notorious for being bumpy just because of our winters. The frost really heaves the roads quite a bit, and so you end up with bumps here and there and so on. But yeah, so this is the Lower Fredericton Way, and pretty soon we'll be going through Silverwood and then eventually to Mactaquac. Yeah, we have quite a lot of natural areas in New Brunswick. Forested for most of it. We don't have any super huge large cities like your Torontos, your Edmontons, your Vancouvers, and so on. City that I live in, Fredericton, is only about 140,000 people in it, and so not too many. And it seems too, we're coming up on some construction. So it always seems the past few years throughout the pandemic, there's been like construction galore. So having to stop and wait for traffic, and even in the city, there's some road closures and things. We got a barn over there. There's a lot of farmland in New Brunswick. Our biggest thing here is potatoes. There's some grain, but normally, like, you know, when a person thinks of farming in New Brunswick, you're going to think of dairy and think of potatoes. And anyways, we'll give a little pause because I'm sure that y'all wouldn't want to sit here for 5 minutes just watching the traffic go by. So we'll see you in a short bit. There, so welcome back. We're on the move again. Might be a little bit noisy. I had to roll down the windows because somebody ran over a skunk. And New Brunswick has quite a population of skunks. And it was really nasty driving by. Sadly, I didn't have my car on recirculate, so it brought in that smell. So I had to roll down the windows and stuff, but they're redoing the road here, which is, like I say, a necessity because our winters heave the roads a little bit, and so it tends to get potholes and bumpy areas. So they've been grading the road down, and probably by the end of August, a little bit into September, we'll see this freshly paved again. And sadly, in New Brunswick, I find that they don't do like the best of jobs. Like, it's great and everything, but I have seen places like in Maine, for example, they'll lay down cement and have the it's just so smooth. But I think because the road heaves so much, that they do a good job, but knowing that they're going to have to do it again anyways, they don't put through the extra expense of doing like a crazy good job. But anyways, no, it's I've also seen worse roads too. So Yeah, you can see the lineup of everybody coming into the city. Yeah, the Mactaquac area is not too far out. It's about a 20-minute drive, maybe a little bit less. And it's something where I thought it would be a nice area to live, like not right near the dam, because then you'd have to worry about the overhead high voltage power lines, which generate a lot of EMF energy, and so that can lead to some health problems potentially if you're living right underneath the lines there. But being along the St. John River, there's some really nice areas that would be perfect for building a house on. I've always told myself that no matter where I live, I want to be able to see water, whether it's living along a river or being just a drive away from a lake or the ocean. And New Brunswick has all of that. For example, I can get to the ocean in a 2-hour drive. And the St. John River, most communities are built along it. So I grew up in Woodstock, New Brunswick, and that is at an intersection of two rivers, the Mactaquac River and the St. John River. And so I've always lived along the river. Came down to university in Fredericton at 1 year of UNB, and then the rest of my time at St. Thomas University. So I've always lived along the river, and it's just something that's always spoke to me. Some people, say, oh, I gotta be near the mountains and so on, but for me, it's I need to be near the water, whether it's a river or ocean or so on. So we're now driving through Island View. There's not much to see, but up ahead there used to be a really creepy house, and I wish it was still standing, because now that I'm going to be starting to do more YouTube videos, it would have been nice to kind of give you guys a tour of the outside anyways. There's a reformatory school for troubled teens and whatnot that kind of haven't done the best of things in life, and it was up on the left there, and sadly the superintendent or headmaster of the school, he didn't do some very nice things to some of the boys that were there, and the house that was the headmaster's house was old, and it was fairly big, and it was creepy looking, and it just had some really, really, really bad energy to it. But within the past few years, during the pandemic, it was actually burned to the ground, and I have a suspicion that it was probably one of the students that finally just had enough of the pain of their life and decided, you know what, I'm going to give myself closure. And actually the house would have been up there. We're just driving by now, but it was completely burned to the ground, and I was like, good riddance. I don't think that anybody should be doing arson or anything, but just there was so much evil in that house, and that person had just so much darkness in their life that was what they thought needed to happen. And that's an assumption, of course. I don't know exactly why it burned to the ground. I don't think that they really released much information as to what the results of the investigation was and things, or even if there was a big investigation, because maybe the authorities were like, good riddance anyways. And I believe the headmaster dude, he's still in prison. I don't know this for sure, but I know he did get a fairly long sentence there. And up there is where we go and pick apples. They are a fairly large orchard, and we go every September, and they have so many different varieties. And New Brunswick apples, well, I was gonna say something, say, oh yeah, no, they're the best in the world, but no, it's just that they're really good. And of course, picking your own apples are so much cheaper than getting your apples in the store. And a sign for the exit to Crab Mountain. Crab Mountain is for people that love to ski. you do happen to come to New Brunswick in the wintertime, Crab Mountain's a nice mountain for beginners. There's a couple of trails that are quite on the difficult side, but it's not a huge mountain like you see in the Olympics and things. So it's great for people that love to ski but might not be the best at it. Last time that I went was a really long time ago. It was when I was in university, and myself and a couple of my buddies, we went skiing, and hopefully get a chance to do it soon. I don't own my own pair of skis, but you can rent them and get a day pass, and it's quite a lot of fun. So around the corner here, we're going to be coming up to the exit to take to the Mactaquac Dam, and it'd be the same exit to go skiing, or also to Keswick Ridge, and the place where we like to go swimming on the Mactaquac Head Pond. And then we're passing through the First Nations Kings Clear Reservation, which is down there in the community through those trees and so on. Those are those high voltage lines I was telling you about. And here is our exit. So I do want to thank you all for coming out. I'm still going to keep filming, but do like the video if you like it. Don't like the video if you don't like it. Do subscribe to the channel. And hopefully, like I say, maybe if I get enough subscribers, I'll have some money squirreled away, and I can get a laptop so I can do some proper editing on these. But it's always great to have you tag along. Coming up on the dam. There's a spot to park that overlooks the dam, and then plus there's a trail that takes you down to the bottom, so I'm going to go for a walk with y'all. It's definitely not paved, as you can see. Bumpity bumpity bump. Okay, and here we are. All right, so the dam was built in 1968, and initially it was set to have a lifespan of 25 years, and well, it's way long past that, so perpetually it's always being refurbished along the top there, where they'll have like one lane closed while they're doing repairs, and then the next summer they'll have the other lane closed, and so on. It's diverted enough water and caused a backup over on that side that if the dam were to fail, there's a big siren that goes off in Fredericton, and not very many people know about it nowadays, but in university I took a geology course, and they spoke of it. And if the siren goes off, that means the dam's broke, and you have 6 minutes to get up to King's College Street or higher, and that's about halfway up the hill in Fredericton. And after 6 minutes, the whole entire downtown area and much of Fredericton is going to be underwater. The dam itself generates 670 megawatts of power, and as I mentioned on the way here, it that covers about 20% of New Brunswick's power needs. We have a few dams. There's one up at the northern area of the province, which is Grand Falls. There's also the Tinker Dam, which is on the Tobic River, as well as one in Beechwood. And there may be one further to the south, but at the bottom of the province we have Point Lepreau, which is our nuclear power generation facility. New Brunswick generates more power than what it needs, so we export a lot of energy down into Maine. But yeah, so let's go back over here, and we'll take a journey down through the path to the bottom there and see what we can see. So it's quite lovely out here. It's kind of cool because you know how I was saying about the Kingsclear First Nation being out here? You can really smell sweetgrass in the air, and that is of course something that our Indigenous people use quite a bit in smudging themselves and just burning in general. There's two main type of things. There's sage burning, which is used, and then there's sweetgrass. You can kind of imagine the difference in smells as to what they'd be used for. Like sage is a very pungent smell, so it would be something that you would burn to kind of deal with negative things. Whether you were cleansing your home of some negative energies or the like, you might burn sage to dispel because it's strong smelling. And you know, whether a person thinks, oh, actually there is an eagle. There's a lot of eagles around here, and that one would be a bald eagle. So yeah, so anyways, back to the sage versus sweetgrass. So whether it's thought that the pungent smell, that the spirits don't like it or what have you, I don't really know 100% the answer. But anyway, so the sage is usually used for cleansing and so on. And the sweetgrass, being a much more pleasant, sweet smell, is kind of like when now that you've done your cleansing, that you want to draw the positive energies in. And it's like it would be used for blessing ceremonies and things where you're not expelling but you're attracting. And also it's used a lot as a symbolic way to represent the prayers going up to heaven and so on. So I guess very similar to how incense would be used in like churches and so on. But so anyway, so sweetgrass is out in this area, and it's quite a lovely strong smell. I have had native friends in the past that have taken me to pick some sweetgrass. Sadly, I'm allergic to grass, so I found that out on one of those adventures where I was wearing shorts and was in the tall grasses, and afterwards we were putting our stuff away on the side of the road, and the heat from the asphalt opens up the pores in your leg, and then, well, that's when I found out that I was allergic to grass when my legs went on fire and got really super itchy. Fredericton has so many awesome places like this. Our natural areas are just so great. Wish y'all could be here to join in the adventure with me. If ever you do get to the Fredericton area, you could give me a shout out, and might be able to meet for some coffee and perhaps take you on a few little walk arounds. One thing I love about being out here is just the sounds of nature with crickets in the background and maybe some peepers. They're like little tiny frogs that make high-pitched noises, but still see that eagle zooming overhead. It's another cool thing too with the native reserve being here, that there is such a large native population, because eagle feathers are really important to the Aboriginal people. They use them in smudging ceremonies and various other things. It's something I don't know if it's still the case, but it used to be that if you were not native, you weren't allowed to be in the possession of an eagle feather, and there would be quite a lot of fines, because eagles in Canada at one point were on the endangered species list. And so where you wouldn't be able to prove the provenance of the feather, whether you killed an eagle or whether it was on the side of the road, it was just basically you can't have any part of an eagle at all, and the only people that could were the Aboriginal people, because it was such an important part of their culture and spirituality. You might be able to have been given one from an elder, and they might have to, write something out to say that they had given it. I'm not 100% sure. And over here is actually some sumac bushes. This time of year the sumacs are quite dark in color, those things right there. And I've always thought it kind of looks, tropical in a way, especially when you get a bunch of them together. Have a funny tale about sumac. So I was a counselor and a director of a summer camp for quite a number of years in my early adulthood, and I was away for one of the weekends before the campers came back in, and I got a text from one of the counselors, and they're like, "Yeah, so sumac, there's you can eat that, right?" And I says, "Well, you can, yes you can, and you can make a tea out of it. And there's two kinds though. There's regular sumac and there's poison sumac." And I said, "So you have to be careful that you're identifying and consuming the right one, otherwise you could get yourself quite sick." And they're like, "Okay." And then I was trying to find the difference, and at the time I couldn't seem to locate what the difference between regular sumac and poison sumac was. And so I told them, it's like, "Well, maybe you shouldn't." And then they said, "Well, actually, before we asked about it, we already did, so hopefully we don't die." So that was kind of funny. But yeah, sumac is sometimes used in like Jordanian cooking as part of like the za'atar spice. It's got like a tangy flavor. I haven't wild foraged for it before, but at our bulk barn you can get sumac powder to put in cooking dishes. And these flowers here are called Pearly Everlasting, or they're also known as rabbit tobacco in the indigenous areas. And if you were to pick that, when it dries, it doesn't wilt or anything. It stays exactly the same, hence the name everlasting. And so in the craft world, you could use it for permanent flower arrangements, or you can also use it for a smudge. I have before. You dry out the leaves, and then when you burn them, it's a pungent smell as well, different than sage, but it pretty much accomplishes the same thing. Over here, there's a problem in New Brunswick with these fellas. It's giant hogsweed. It also has a plant similar to it, cow's parsnip, I think is what it's called. But it's an invasive species and is actually quite dangerous. If you were to walk past one, break a branch, and get some of the plant juice on you, you're going to get some pretty nasty burns. Makes your skin very photosensitive, so you could get like 3rd-degree sunburns really easy, severe chemical burn reactions, and then if you were to get any in your eye, it would make you go blind. So when we first started seeing it crop up all over the place, the natural resources people were like, don't try and get rid of it on your own. Contact us and we'll send some people out wearing all the PPE gear and so on. But I think it kind of has taken over, and they have kind of stopped really doing the clearing, because sometimes you'll drive along the side of the road and you'll just see ditches clear full of them. I don't know where their native growing place is, but they certainly have made their home in New Brunswick, that's for sure. So if you're out going for a walk and you see a patch, then just stay clear and don't bother trying to get through them. Yeah. Okay, so we're at the bottom there now. And there's 2 main parts over here, and then of course over here your power generation is going to happen on this side. There's 6 turbines inside, and right now they have the floodgates closed, just a little trickle of water going through. But like I say, it's 670 megawatts, and that is about 20% of New Brunswick's power needs comes out of this one. You can take a tour, so if you cross over the causeway, you can go down to over here, and they have public tours that take you in. Last time I went, I was like 10 years old, and it was pretty interesting. I mean, for a 10-year-old, that is, I'd probably find it more interesting today. But one of the big things I remember is they actually take you down into the turbine room, and it is so loud. So Buddy's like talking away, saying all these things about the turbines and stuff. And I'm like, well, I can't hear a word you're saying because the turbines are turning. Now they got this blocked off, saying that danger, dam upstream, no trespassing. It never used to be there. Last time I was down, you could actually go and walk right down into that area. And in university too, we used to go where those cement abutments are, just right over there. We used to run off of those and jump and swim into the river that's there. Of course, I wouldn't recommend doing that nowadays, and we really shouldn't have done it before, because I'm sure that it was against the rules, and had the cop been handy, they probably would have given us some stern words and perhaps maybe a fine. But that was when me and my buddies were young and foolish. So to get back up to the car, we could either go up the road again, or there is a pathway that's cleared out. So maybe we'll take the pathway. Looks as though it's been kind of ATV'd over, so go up through here. A lot of this has been cut down the last time that I was here, and that would have been before the pandemic. This would have been all completely treed in, so it wouldn't have necessarily been the best path to get back up to the top. And this may or may not have been a good idea, because kind of steep in through here, but we've started now, so I guess we're kind of stuck doing it. Looks like somebody was having a little bit of a party with some beer cans and so on. So I'd be interested to hear where you guys are all from, and if you guys have a lot of natural areas like we do in New Brunswick, and maybe even, you know, where you guys generally get your power from. And I'll be sure to, if you guys have channels, I'll check them out and subscribe. Can definitely tell I am out of shape. Well, we're getting there. Whew. All right, here we are back at the top of the hill, and a few more feet left, and then we'll be at the car. All right, well, here we are back at the very top. I'm going to sign off for now, because I'm out of breath. But I want you to know that you are absolutely amazing. There is only one of you on this planet, and that makes you more special than diamonds, and I really like that about you. So do join me next time for some more adventures, and have the best day ever. Bye!